Okay, good morning to everyone. We are starting the first session, that is what we call the lookup function. Correctly, if we say, it is basically nothing but we are talking about the lookup analysis. So today we are going to cover the topics that we are talking about: the VLOOKUP, we are talking about HLOOKUP, then we'll talk about certain variations, that is lookup with the exact match, lookup with approximate match, lookup with a partial match, two-way lookup, error handling with if error functions, and there is a special function. We'll see the utility of the function is called is not available function, that is not function and its applications, and also we'll see is one advanced application how we can use the array function in lookup in a special cases when it is required to so let us begin. What exactly this lookup analysis that everybody talks about in the industry? So if you really want to understand the lookup analysis, so if I am given a huge database primarily with the lookup functions, what we can do, we can extract data from that particular database or the table that has been given to me with some unique identifier. That is the primary work a lookup can do, and rather it's up to us how we can use this in different scenarios to yield the result. Second thing that it can do is it can link to different tables in Excel if there is an unique identifier in both the tables. We'll understand this, how what does it mean. And the more important things is that suppose there are two tables, not necessarily these two tables should be in the same worksheet. Result that you are trying to get need not to be in the same worksheet. If it is even in the multiple worksheet, we can work with it. Now, let us look at the syntax of the VLOOKUP function before we understand the VLOOKUP function. So if this is the table, let us assume the VLOOKUP function. So you understand, if you really want to go and search for a data here, record of any individual, what you need the order number. That should become your unique identifier. With the help of this particular order number, when you get a match, you can get all the data. So this unique identifier with which we actually search a specific record from a table is called my lookup value technically. So here in this, if you consider only this database or the table, my lookup value should be order. So if I have the order number, I can go here and find a match and find the record. Now the problem then, once we give the lookup value, we'll have to tell Excel, okay, where it should go and search for the data. So there we give the table range. So you select the whole table, we give it a range. Okay, we have given you a lookup value. You go to this range and search for the data where you find a match for this order number. Okay, so the third component that we have, these are called arguments. So first argument, as we discussed, is the lookup value. Second argument is the table range. The third argument, something they call the column number. Okay, now this column number, it sounds to be confusing. The problem with the VLOOKUP function is, if it finds a match of the order number, suppose I am searching with an order number and it finds a match with an order number, in a normal scenario, it can return only one value from the row at a time. So if I wish in a conventional way, I write the lookup function and I'm supposed to return all the value together. I can do it, but I can do it with a variation. Later on we'll see. But for the time being, let us understand it can only return one value. So I'll have to specify from which value it is supposed to return to me. And that value is specified by the column where the value is. That means if this is my order number, I find a match here, then I'll have to specify the column number. So if I want the sales, my column number should be 8. Why it is 8? Because you see, if it's the first column, then this second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth column is your sales. So if you want this, the first name, if you want to return, suppose you'll have to give the column number 3 instead of 8. And finally, something we call the type true and false. If you want an exact match of my roll number, that means whatever order number with the help of I'm searching it, when you find an exact match, digit to digit, then only you return the value. That means we have an alternative that is called true value. We'll understand it later. So this far is what we call the syntax, but still it may not be absolutely clear what we are talking about. So it's better let us go to the Excel sheet where actually the work should happen. Okay. Now forget about VLOOKUP, forget about everything. Just think that this is a result which has been pasted in a notice board. And I need to go and look for certain results. Obviously, one thing that I should have, information I should have, otherwise I cannot really find the result, is the roll number. In this case, name may be confusing, but multiple people may have the same name. So this roll number becomes my unique identifier. All right. With the help of this roll number, once I know the roll number, I can go to this table and I will search this column. I'll start matching this column. If this matches my roll number, if this matches my roll number, if this matches my roll number, primarily I will go down. And wherever I find the match of the roll number, I know I found my record. Now I look at the right. And I keep extracting the data. That's how normally we would have done. So machine is not different. Excel is not different. It follows the same procedure. So first this roll number I'll have to tell him which roll number I am searching, and this becomes your what we call the lookup value. Then obviously we'll search in this particular table. Alright. So this particular table you call the table array in the syntax that we have seen. Third, we have said, we cannot return all the data at once. So even if suppose I found a match here, right now I have a luxury that if I write a VLOOKUP function, I can only return one value. So if I need the total as it is written here, I'll have to give the column number. So my lookup value column becomes my first column. This is my second column. This is third. This is fourth. This is fifth. This is sixth. This is seventh. So my what I call the column index will be now is this is called the column index number. I'll have to give the number, then I'll have to write false because I need an exact match. Alright. So let us execute it. Let us suppose this is the table that I have. Alright. This is the table that I have. I want to insert a roll number here and I want to get the total here. So I'll have to understand my roll number has become my lookup value. So once I insert the lookup value, it will go to the table. You'll try to find a match of the roll number that I have entered here. Once it finds a match, it is supposed to return the total number, that is this one, because that's what I want here. Okay. So to execute this, I'll have to write the equation here. So I will write equal to VLOOKUP. Okay, I write VLOOKUP, and now first see even if you do not remember the sequence of the arguments that you have seen in the presentation, Excel always helps with this particular palette. It guides you what argument to be inserted right now. The first it is asking for the lookup value. I know my lookup value will be in this place. So I select the cell reference. Now I know the range. While I select the range, I should have to keep in mind that whatever lookup value with I am searching should be the first column of the range that I am selecting. Alright, that is absolute mandatory. After that, because I am supposed to return a value, and here they are asking for the total, and total is lying in the 7th column, I will write 7. Then I will give false because I want an exact match of this one. Now I enter, it will return an error called the not available error. That is absolutely okay because I have not inserted any number. So it cannot find this null here. That's why it is giving a not available. So if I now insert a number, right, it is C returning the value. If I enter another number, it is returning the another value. So it is working. Now suppose instead of total, I need chemistry here. Alright. I need chemistry here. But now if I don't make any alteration in the equation that I have written, it will return the total value because the column number that I have given is 7. So what doesn't matter, I change the heading to whatever it is I want, but it will return the value from the 7th anyways. So if I wanted to make to return the value from the chemistry, I will have to give that column number to this equation. So if you look at, this is my first column, second, third, fourth, fifth. So my chemistry is fifth. So I'll have to change it to fifth. This is one of the limitations that I'll have to give the index number manually. Now see, it is returning the column number. Alright. So chemistry, you can see 11311 and this is coming as 51, and you can change and you can check and you can do it for any other things also. Now, let us understand it one second. Suppose if the table is not like that, and suppose they have inserted an extra column at the beginning, but that everyone will do, they gave you a serial number with this one to make it perfect, and that's the good job actually. If somebody does it, he has done a good job, he knows the tabulation better. So if that is the scenario, alright, what has happened? Nothing but your extra column has been added. Okay, now if that happens, and suppose this is the data that has been given to me, and again the challenge is the same. I am supposed to enter the roll number and I'm supposed to get the total here. Alright, I'm supposed to get the total here. So if that is the case, let me rewrite the equation again. V lookup. Alright, I am doing vertical lookup. Alright, so I look at the alteration. What do you mean by H lookup? So I choose the roll number here. I put a comma. Now while I choose the table array, I should be cautious that I do not select from here. If I select the whole table including the serial number, the roll number that I will enter will be searched in the first column only. So you don't find the roll number at all. So I should be cautious always. I should be knowing what is my lookup value, and with the which lookup value I am searching the table, and accordingly I have to select the table like this. So my roll number becomes the first column of the selection, and that is absolutely mandatory. Then I type a false and I press enter. It is actually working. 1 1 2 3 4 you gave, it is giving you the result. Alright, now let us go to an exercise. If they have given me this, same data, they haven't given me, so they said you entered the roll number here. Just like a result that happens everywhere, I supposed to enter a roll number here, and I am supposed to get the name, mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, total, everything. I can add a percentage here also. I can calculate the percentage, that I can always do. Percentage may not be the part of the database, but still I can calculate it. So let me calculate the percentage here also. So practically I am not exposing the whole database to the students. Whoever student comes, I writing the roll number here, and I am just giving away him what I call his results. This is the database. The first thing that I like to do is, This is my VLOOKUP function, I know. Here the roll number will come and that roll number will be searching this particular table. So I start my equation from here. I write for only for the name. So I type, as I have learned so far, I write VLOOKUP. I give this as a lookup value. Alright. I search the table. I select the whole table. And I know this is I have done a mistake again. So I reselect it. From here I have to select it. Remember that roll number should be the first column. And I know if this is the first column, name is the second column. So I give it a 2 and I give it a false. So I get my name. Now see, any roll number you enter here, you are getting your name. Alright. Fine. One problem is solved. I am getting the name of the kid. So if I enter anything else, I am getting the name. So what am I supposed to do now? Am I supposed to write equation here? Am I supposed to write equation here, 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 here? I don't do it because Excel has the provision of relative and absolute references. I can simply drag it down. But right away, if I drag it down, I will do a mistake because my reference of the roll number should not change even if I drag down. My reference to this range should not change if I am dragged down. Otherwise, it will relatively change what we call the relative reference. So, in this particular equation, what I will do is, I will make this particular lookup reference an absolute by putting F4 key or putting a dollar sign in front of F or in front of 4. Same here in the range because that also I want to fix. I select the whole range, then I put dollar sign in front of all the references, that is the column reference and the row reference, in front of B, in front of 2, in front of H, in front of 10. Directly, rather than going one by one, what you can do in the computer, you can press the function key and the F4 key, it will happen automatically. Now see, if I drag it down up to this level, obviously, everywhere the same result is coming, and you know why the reason, because when I dragged down, this 2 always remained 2. So doesn't matter what you write here, it will return the value from the column T. So now I have to look at the table again. Okay, math is in the third, it is in the fourth, it is in the fifth, it is in the sixth, it is in the seventh. Alright, so now I'll have to go and change manually, and that is one of the problems. Math I will make 3, it is giving the math result. Physics is 4, it is giving the physics result. Chemistry is 5, it is giving the 5th result. Biology is 6, it is giving the 6th result, and total is 7, it is giving you the 7th result. Now percentage you can always calculate. Suppose there are 4 subjects, you can this divided by 400, you get your percentage and you can convert it into percentage. Now see, things are beautiful. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. According to name change, percentage, job is done. So this is one way we can do it. Alright, now the problem is, suppose this is what is VLOOKUP. Now then, what this HLOOKUP is? So let us look at the HLOOKUP for 1 second. And that is one of the confusions, is when I am supposed to use the VLOOKUP and when I am supposed to use the HLOOKUP. Right? So suppose instead of the table that has been given to me, table is given like this. Same data, it is represented in a different way. And I need the same answer. I need the same answers. I want to enter the roll number and I get the total. Now, first thing that I am supposed to do by looking at the table, I have to look at the orientation of the table and how the lookup value is oriented. That will determine, am I supposed to use a VLOOKUP function or an HLOOKUP function? VLOOKUP stands for vertical lookup, HLOOKUP stands for horizontal lookup. We know something like this is vertical and something like this is horizontal. Now come to the first case. Now if you look at the lookup value, it is roll number. Now how the computer will search it? Computer will search it vertically, because all the roll numbers are stored in a single column. So if all the roll numbers are stored in a single column, that means It's a vertical range. So it will search vertically. That's why you'll have to use vertical lookup. But in this case, your roll numbers are stored horizontally. They are all in a single row. So search should be horizontal instead of vertical. So if that is the case, then I'll have to use H lookup instead of the V lookup. Other things remains the same. So orientation of the lookup value will determine what you are supposed to use. So here I will use H lookup. All right. Then I stirred the roll number. I will choose the whole range. Of course, I will change the range from here. You remember here, the lookup value should be the first row of the selection. Then if I have to return the total, I'll have to look at the row index, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it is in the 7th, I type 7, I type false, I get the result. That is the only difference. Now if you enter the data here, any data you enter, you get the result. Alright. So see how it may become a bit complex. So let us look at this particular data. So this is one database we have. Normally, the group name, group segment, revenue, everything is given, and finally they are giving its region. So I can identify which region it is. Now they have made some modifications. They said with the region, we have to get the adjusted region also. And they've given a separate table here at adjusted region. Alright. So if it is N here, the adjusted region you look at here, you find it is I naught. If it is W here, you come to the adjusted region, you find it a 4 west. So you are looking at the first table, then you are looking at the second table. But instead of this, I want to join these two tables. Alright. So I want to write, instead of going from one table, then going to the second table searching for it, I want to bring in the adjusted region here itself. Alright. I want to bring in the adjusted region here itself. And that can be done because then my job becomes much easier. I only look at a single table, I can find out the data. So basically, if it is N, here should be I north. If it is S, here should be 2 south. So it's a classic case of a application of a lookup function that can, if I consider these are my lookup values, with the help of these lookup values, I can extract this data from this table. Now the question comes again. If region is the lookup value, that I'll have to identify first thing that I will supposed to identify. So here I have identified region is my lookup value. I also identify what is my table array, from where I am supposed to search the data. Here I am supposed to search the data. Third look I have, key region in this data from where I am supposed to extract the data is oriented horizontally. So without any doubt, I will use HLOOKUP function. Excuse me. So I use the HLOOKUP function. This is my lookup value. This is my whole region. I know the adjusted region in the second column, so I give it 2, then I write false. Alright, this is for the first one it came. I know I will have to fix the region in this case again because I am supposed to drag it down. Function F4, enter. Now you drag down, you got your everything. Alright, okay. So this is what so far what we have discussed. We have discussed VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP. Now let us go for always we have write the type as false. That is exact match. Now let us go to this particular problem here. This problem. Alright, this can be solved by if logic also. We are talking about the fourth variation, that is lookup with approximate match. When there is not an exact match, can I return a value? So basically what the colleges told us, that if the marks is between 0 to 39, you give the student as F. It is between 40 to 59, you give them D. If it is between 60 to 69, you give them C. If it is between 70 to 79, B, like that. I know there is an if function available and there is a nested if available, I can do it that one. But if this category keeps increasing, maybe I have 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 grades to give, then if nested if becomes a very complicated function to write. So we have a better alternative. we can do with lookup approximate match to execute this particular problem. Now here you have to understand these are my lookup values, the marks. And if my marks falls between 0 to 39, it should extract F. If the marks falls between 40 to 59, now here we are not talking about an exact match. That is, if you find 45, then only you return the value. That is not the case. If you fall within a range, you are supposed to return a value. Now the technical part here is to construct the lookup table, and that's what we need to understand. So if I consider the lookup table like this, all right, this is of no use of us because here they have entered text. So here, if it is 0 to 39, I only give the lower limit as 0. Computer will understand, the next one as I give 40, the computer will understand that this particular value belongs, it's a range of 0 to 39. Here I give I 60, here I give I 70, here I give 80. So this means if this value is 40, that means anything that it is between 0 to 39, it will return F. If this is 60, that means in this column, anything between 40 to 59, it will return value and so on and so forth. So this becomes my lookup table from where I am supposed to extract the data. So here I will write the equation. All right. I will write, because it is vertically oriented, I will write VLOOKUP. This becomes my lookup value. I choose the whole range here. I know grade is in the second column, but because I need an approximate match, I will not write false here, I will write true here. That is the only change. Once I write true here, you see it is returning the value. Okay. Now here, again, I will fix the range. Function F4, enter, and you drag it down, you got all the values. Fantastic. Okay, so let us move on. So let me go to some other functions, like suppose, see, let us take a special case in this case, because we are talking about the error handling. Sometimes the errors needs to be handled. So how to handle these errors, that's what I am discussing. So suppose this is a serial number we have, and I want to automate an invoice. That means what I want the item number, enter the item number 1. Description should automatically come, unit price should automatically come. I enter the quantity, amount should automatically come. The detail of this particular furniture house is given here. This is the database that they have created. It is in another table. Here basically you see if this item number, this is the description, this is the unit price. Those values needs to be extracted here once I enter these things. I also automate it with the drop down, because every time I need not memorize the numbers, so not the type the numbers, I create a drop down list here so that numbers can be selected rather than the typed. That is your choice. Even if you don't do it, that's not an issue. So I go here and I choose the whole item numbers. So how it benefits me? It benefits me right now. You see all the item numbers are there. I can select any number that will be there. And this can be dragged down for every cell. I need not do it. I can drag it down. I get it. Okay. So the lookup value is item number in this case. So let us write the function here. Right. I write VLOOKUP. Again, it is a VLOOKUP because it is vertically oriented. Right. I choose this particular lookup value. Then I change worksheet. I go to this table and I select everything. Right. And I consider that item number is in the first column. Now, I am not supposed to go back to the original sheet. I go to the formula bar and complete the equation. For description, description is in the second column. I type 2, I type false. I enter, I got it. Right now, if I look at it, 104, you see I am getting whatever is needed. Right. And now, if I want to drag it down, again, what I will do, I will basically fix the range here. That is the normal and standard procedure. Then I drag it down. Now here also I write for the unit price, I write VLOOKUP function. I could have dragged it also, but I am writing it so that we can practice it once again. I select the item number.
Again, I go to this, I select everything, and I return here. In this case, it is in the third column, the unit price. I write it false. I return the value. All right. So I return the value here. Sorry, I made a mistake. Before dragging down, I am supposed to fix the range. So I fix the range, enter, I delete it. Now see, it will be working for us. See, I choose any of the numbers. You see the uh, description is coming, unit price is coming. Now, if I give something that I call, you know, quantity, that I'll have to enter manually, quite obviously, because we do not know which customer what is purchased. So if quantity I give 2, here I calculate the amount, that is obviously no brainer, unit price into quantity will give me the amount that can be tracked down for the future, and it is coming like this. So I thought my job is done. But the problem is, see, if customer comes and purchases in only one unit, okay, this row is coming, but the total is not coming because of the errors. And how can I give a printout of a sub these things to the customer who have all these errors? So I am supposed to remove these errors. And it should look neat and clean. Total should come. So if the customer purchases 2, I can give a printout of 2 after calculations, 3, like that. So here we introduce a function called an if error function. What do we do with the if error function? Just look at the first equation. I put if error in front of the VLOOKUP function in this case. So if there is no error, it will execute the VLOOKUP function. But if the VLOOKUP is returning in an error, I give a second argument and I put double quotes. That means it will become blank instead of NA. I press enter. Now you say if I drag it down, everything is NA, blank. Same process I follow here. I enter the if error function here. I'm sorry. I enter the if error function here. All right. Then again, if it is everything is okay, VLOOKUP if returns a value, it will accept. But VLOOKUP is not returning a value, then I put it a blank if it is returning an NA. Right. This is fantastic. Now here the problem comes value, value, value. Here also, wherever I am in equation, I type an if error, and if there is an error, return blank. You see, now it is working perfectly. All right, so this is what we have done. If you look at the equation, we entered an if error in front of it. Now see, if I add two values and if I give the quantity, everything is working fine. If I give three values, I entered the quantity, everything is working fine. I have kept an automated invoice. Now, another way we can use this if error in a VLOOKUP, and we can use it anywhere that I need. So let us go to the first function again. Now, if I am entering 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, it is giving 2 on 1. The first function, remember. Right. But if I enter a number which does not exist here, it will again return an NA. If I delete it, it will return an NA. So if it doesn't find a match, it will always return an array. If there's a number, it will return, but if it doesn't find a match, it will return an array, it will return error. But for the user, this may not look pretty. So here also what I can do, I select here, look at the formula bar, I put if error again here, alright, if error, and instead of the second argument keeping it blank, I can underquote, I can type that roll number does not exists. Alright, press enter. Now see, it looks wonderful. If you enter a number 234, you get the result, but if you entered something that does not exist, it is saying roll number does not exist. So that is another function of the if. Okay. Now let us go to another variation like this. And this is another big challenge we have. This is called, so what we have done? We have done VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP with exact match. We have done with the approximate match, that is true value. But sometimes the problem will be like this. This is called partial match. See, this is the table from where I am supposed to search the data, and this is where I am supposed to extract it. But you see, there is a mismatch in the spellings of these two, and this will always happen in real time. So I need to search for ABC. Actually, here it is written ABC Limited. It is Amazon, here it is written Amazon.com, and it may be a long list, right? So if there is a mismatch, either I can rectify it manually, which will take long, or I can do a partial matching. So, okay, if here it is written ABC Limited, even if you find ABC, please return the value. Okay, this is written the Home Depot. Even if it is they find the match, a partial match of home, please return the value. So to do that, what we do, we use a wildcard at the front, at the back, and this wildcard is nothing but a star symbol. All right. So how I do it? I first write a VLOOKUP function again, you know, then I enter the wildcard undercode ampersand. I select my value with the help of which I will search. Then again, I will insert a wildcard at the back. So that becomes my lookup value. After that, I select the whole table. I know code is in the second one. So I give it 2. I give it false. Remember, I am giving exact match. You press enter. You see it is returning the value. And here also, you can phrase it. And it will return the value. So as simple as that. You know, if you doubt of a matching, put a star sign in front, put a star sign in the back, join them by the ampersand function. Your job is done. You need not worry at all if they find a match or not. Another variation that I have, see, many a times we pick up the data from the legacy systems. So if I have picked up the data from the legacy systems, see, the problem with this data is first they gave all the maths results, then they gave all the physics results, then they gave all the chemistry results, then they gave all the biology results. So for a particular student, if you have to look at the result, first Matt will go for its maths, then he will go for its physics, then he will go for his chemistry, and many a times we get when we import the data from the legacy systems, we get the data like this. So I want to convert the data into more readable format, the multiplication format. You know, rows and columns. Now here the problem is to extract a data here. Suppose I want to extract a data here from here. I need to search two columns. First the name column, then the subject column. It should match the name, it should match the subject, then the value column. But the VLOOKUP so far we have done can look up only into one column. So we have other functions like index and match. With the help of we can do it. But if I have to do it with the VLOOKUP, for the first time I will have to manipulate with the data. I will create an extra column. Normally it is called the helper column. What I'll do? These are actually lookup value 1, lookup value 2. I convert them into a single lookup value by joining the strings. So this, then I put an ampersand. I put this value. So name and subject has been joined to become a single column, and this becomes my lookup value. So how to execute this? Here also, when I come to write the lookup value, I will also join the lookup values of the two parameters. So I type here, I type VLOOKUP. You know, first I join the name, so I click on the name. Then I put an ampersand, then I join the subject, I click on the subject. Same process I'll follow. Now this is my table, remember this. Here it will supposed to search. So it will search it. I give it a 2, I give it a false, I got my data for the 1. Now to drag it down everywhere, we'll have to go for a mixed referencing. The mixed referencing is, now if I have to drag it, first thing what I will do, I will freeze the range as we always do. Range has been freezed, but also I'll have to freeze two references in the lookup value. So if you look at the G4 reference, this G4 reference belongs to, this is G4 and this belongs to a vertical column. So here I will not go for an absolute referencing, I will just freeze the column by putting a dollar sign in front of the column. Okay, the second reference in the lookup value is H3. Now, if you look at H3, this H3 belongs to a horizontal range. So, if it is a horizontal range, it remains in a single row. So, in H3, I will put a dollar sign in front of the row. Now, see, my job is done. From here, now I can drag it down this side. I can drag it down this side. My job is done. All right. Now see, there is a special challenge that I have. Okay. Or in a matter of fact, we have seen the problems. Okay. So what I'm doing is what we call the array function. How array function, the latest inclusion can help us. So now suppose I want this data here. All right. I'm supposed to enter the roll number and I'm supposed to get everything. So I'm supposed to enter the roll number and that what we have done. Okay, but the problem that you have seen here is you'll have to write the equation first, then freeze the range, then you drag it down, then every column you are supposed to go and change what you call the column index. So that's a problem. So to solve this problem, we can introduce ourselves with the array function. So I can write equation for all these columns at one go rather than writing one, then dragging, then changing, then making it absolute. So many tasks I have to do. I can do it at a single shot. To do that, I select everything here because here I'll put the lookup value. Now I don't write equation here anymore. I go to this particular formula bar. I type VLOOKUP. I choose this roll number. Absolutely okay. Everything remains the same. I choose this particular range. Now, while giving the column numbers, I will give an array. So I need name. Name is, see, I started with a curly bracket, then I gave 2, then I gave 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Why I have given this? Because name belongs to the second column, math belongs to the third column. So if you look at here, I have given a group of column numbers together. Then I keep a comma, then I keep a false. Now, if you're not using Office 365, if you're using any other version, you should not enter the enter button directly after writing the equation. You'll have to do a control, shift, and enter. See, it has been executed. Now here you give the roll number, all the result will come. Any roll number that will give, all the results will come. Okay. Let me see what is the issue with this one again. Okay, I think perfect K4. All right. Okay, my selection is a problem. I think I've selected from C2. So I make it again. I'll have to write it. I'm so sorry because I made a mistake in the writing in the equation. So let me write the equations again because selecting the range was a problem for me. So I select it here again. I type equal to VLOOKUP. All right. I give the lookup value here, that is K4. I select the whole range here, that mistake I committed earlier. Then put a comma. I give a third bracket. I write 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I start the bracket. I put a comma. I write a false. After that, I put Control, Shift, and Enter. I get NA. Now it will work. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, I'm getting all the results at one go. This is called the array function, right? Again, I want 1, 1, 3, 1, 1 to get all the results. Okay. So the final topic for today, guys, yeah, is I take another special function is this. Okay. Now, if you look at this particular table, this is a master table that we have. All right. And I need to tell my bosses that they have given the attendees numbers here. So these are the list that has attended a particular function. Now I have to tell them how many of from this list belongs to this master list. So do they exist in our master list, or they do not exist in our master list, so that I identify the new entries what has happened today. If it exists, that is, they are the old customer. If it doesn't exist, they are the new customers. And that's very important for me too. So if it is there, I will let exist. If it is not there, I will let not exist. So here I will use a function called isNow function. ISNA functions returns an ISNA function will become true if there is an error. ISNA function will become false if there is no error. I mean to say, so let me write the equation here. I can write an equation here. VLOOKUP in a normal process. I write a VLOOKUP here. This becomes my lookup value. All right. This becomes my whole range. From it supposed to find a match. Because it is only one column, I write 1, I write false. Alright, so it is working. Wherever the number is coming. The job can be done. Now here, I fix it again. I put a function F4, I press enter. Now if I drag it down, where it is doesn't exist, it is coming as NA, NA, NA. But the point is, I really do not want the number and the NS here. I want exist and not exist. So what isNA function does, see if I do isNA to everyone, every of the equations, I select this equation, I do a isNA function. It said it's false. So whenever it returns a value, isNA function becomes false. Whenever it cannot return the value, isNA function becomes true. So that function can be used here. See how I am going to use here. I will write an if equation. If, all right, then I will put whole VLOOKUP in the isNow. Why? Because if it returns a value, it will become false. If it doesn't return a value, it will become true. And if function, that way not. So if it doesn't return a value, that means it's true. That means it not not exists. And if it is returning a value, that means it exists. All right. So it's done. I press enter. It is here saying exist, and I drag down. You see, it is working wonderfully. All right. So that concludes the initial session of our XLOOKUP. Before we end, we need to understand one thing that is very important, the limitations that we have in VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP functions. All right. The limitations that we have is, okay, I complete a new slide. The limitations that we, number one, the lookup value should be the first column of the array, and that's a problem. It should be always the first column of the array that you select. If you don't do it, it will return an error. Second, column index to be entered manually. Whatever numbers the return, we'll have to return it manually. Third, it cannot return multiple lookup values if there is a duplication. That means, let me explain you what I am talking about. So your lookup value preferably should be what we call is unique. Okay, so again here, if I type here name and if I type here total, I can search by name also, nobody is stopping me. All right, so I select it again. And here I write the VLOOKUP function where I'll search by the name. So if I type VLOOKUP, this is my lookup value. Of course, here I'll choose the name now. I will exclude the roll number also. Now the total will be in the 6, I give it a false. Now you see it will work fine. If I write here mat, it's not case sensitive, but still mat, it is returning the value of mat. But the problem here is, if there is another mat down here, it will never find that mat. Every time you type mat, it will return the first value because the process is very simple as you understood. It will go from top. Whenever it finds a match, it terminates the search and is look for extraction. So if there is a duplication in your lookup value, the second value or the third value will be never extracted. Second thing, if I want to enter the name and I want the roll number in this present condition, that is not going to happen because it can once finds a match, it can only return value from this side, the right side. It cannot return value from this side, not at all. So that's again a limitation, right? So we'll see later how we can overcome these limitations, and hopefully you understood the session. Thank you very much.